Hi guys, it's Friday and I am live in the event for this week's live stream, which is something slightly different than we normally do. I'm down in the cabin because my kitchen ceiling has fallen in, and so if there are strange noises, then I apologise for that. It seems to be making all sorts of noises in the house, but I am here, I am hiding away from that, and I'm going to be talking to you today about promo strategies and potentially systems that you can write to make sure that you're nailing everything. Hi there, Tinica, it's good to see you here. So I was asked earlier in the week on the Tuesday thread, the Troublesome Tuesday, for some suggestions for topics, and today we are answering that for, let's see, who was it that actually asked the question, if I can find it with any ease. Basically, I'm sick to death with trying to deal with groups. What happens next? Where else can we promote things? So let's just see if I can find out who it was that posted that. I really should have taken a note of that earlier, but that's just me. I'm so sorry. And let me see. Now, we've actually addressed this twice this week. Once is going to be in this session, and I'm going to be talking about different kinds of strategies and the different places that online you can promote your work. There we go. It's Michelle White who requested this topic. So we'll definitely tag Michelle in the comments. Karen, if you can tag Michelle so that she knows that we are definitely answering her questions. So we've also then talked about places you can sell your wares, whether they are physical patterns, the finished items, if you've got yarn, and that's covered in our Mythical Makers podcast this week. So again, if Karen can share that link with everybody in the comments, then that will hopefully cover both sides of this question. Now, I'm not going to go into it in massive detail. I've got 4 pages of notes, so there is quite a lot of detail, but I will share some extra things that you can think about, and then I'll write up some extra posts to go into those extra things in a little more detail, because this is quite a lot to get through in one live stream. And yeah, we won't be able to be going for like 2.5 hours, which is what it would take to go through everything in detail. Now, the first thing we need to think about is who your audience is. Where will they be? Where will they hang out? Who are they? Are they people that you need to interact with online? Are they people that you need to speak to in real life? All that kind of stuff. So you need to really think about where they will hang out, and then that's where you need to hang out as well. So unfortunately, if you hate Facebook but your audience loves Facebook, then you're going to have to hang out on Facebook a bit, because that's where your audience hang out. And that's really all there is to it. If your audience are local guys who love you and who want to work with you, and they want to learn from you, then you need to find out where these chaps are hanging out. They could be men, they could be women, they could be children, it could be anything, but you need to find out where your audience are, and then that's where you need to go. If it's a group of elderly retired people who aren't actually elderly but they want to learn new skills and they hang out down the library because that's where their club happens to be, that's where you need to go. So you just need to find your audience, find out where they are, and then mingle like crazy. Also think about how they like to get information. Do they like to hear the backstory? Do they like to see behind the scenes? Are they interested in the romance that you've created for your pattern? Do they want technical information? What skills will they need to be able to make your pattern? Or do they simply want to see pretty pictures? They'll fall in love with a pretty picture, and then that's what they'll buy. So again, think about how they like information to be shown to them or explained to them, and then do that. Think about whether your audience is niche or whether they are a mass market. So would your time be better spent trying to get pieces in countrywide magazines? Or is it better for you to concentrate your efforts on very niched down groups on Facebook or on Ravelry or on your email list? So have a think about what your audience is. If they are people who only like to work with one particular weight of yarn, and they only like to do lace, and they only work with circulars, then try and find a group that is very specifically for them, as against trying to promote something to everybody. And definitely be consistent in the look and feel and your voice when you are talking to people about your patterns, about your products, about your finished items, about your yarn, so that there is this consistency across everything, so that whether you're talking on Instagram or on your website or you're a guest blogger somewhere, make sure everything is consistent. And I'm looking rather like an alien at the moment. I don't quite know what's happening with the sun. Oh, excuse me. But I do kind of look a bit alienish, which is not so nice. Maybe if I sit back a bit out of the sun, I look less scary. Is this making sense so far? Are people following along with what I'm actually saying? Facebook Lives are always quite intimidating, because Facebook seems to spend a lifetime before it sends any likes or thank yous or comments through. So if you are following along, please just send me a thumbs up or a wave or a smile or anything, just so that I know that this is actually reaching you and the connection is good. So that's cool. And then we're on to what you actually need to do to start to promote your stuff. And this isn't all about Facebook groups, so don't panic about that. We're going to start off in Ravelry. So once you've written your pattern and you've made up your sample, what you need to do is create a project. Make sure that you've got your pattern photographs, you're linking across to your yarn, whether that is yarn support or just the yarn that you've used, so that you can add that into the database. Then add in a pattern, link the project you've just created to that pattern. Excellent, Tinaka. I'm glad you're there. Share the project, not the pattern. Share the project and the yarn with a variety of Ravelry groups. Don't go crazy. The last thing we want to do is spam, but you do need to be sharing, otherwise you can't get it out anywhere. Add the pattern into any bundles that you have, and create any launch discounts that you need to use or that you want to use. So we'll come to those in a moment. And then over on your blog, write yourself a blog post. Talk about the pattern, talk about the process, talk about what inspired you, whatever it is that takes your fancy that you want to discuss, then talk about that. And remind people to add the pattern, if they like it, to their queue or to their favourites, and include the link to the pattern to go do that. And then hop back over to Ravelry, link the blog post to the project and the yarn, which will then show the pattern in our recent blogs, in your listing on your designer page. You can announce the pattern in your group and others that are relevant. The designer group has a monthly new designs thread, so you can always promote it in that. And also in one of the big 6 boards, patterns definitely has promo threads, and I'll put links to this in a blog post so that you can see where all these different Ravelry groups reside. And as I've said before, don't go crazy, don't spam, just share it in 1 or 2 of the bigger groups, just share it once or twice. Don't go crazy sharing your new pattern on 28 different groups, and certainly don't post it more than once in any group, otherwise that would be considered spam, and you don't want to be banned from Ravelry. That would be kind of fatal. Email, if you have an email, whether you have an email list or you don't, send an email through to whoever gave you yarn support, whether that was an indie dyer or whether that was a larger company. Contact them, thank them, and share the link to your pattern, share the link to the blog post, and also give them a couple of social media images. So something that has been sized and formatted for Pinterest, so that you've got long, tall, thin graphic, and also something for Instagram, so you've got a nice square graphic. And make sure that they are, of course, in your colours, your design, your formatting, your font with your logo and all that kind of stuff. Make sure that they're on brand for you, but they can be shared by the yarn company. If you used yarn from a local shop, then you can do the same thing for them. Offer the pattern in case they want to sell the pattern, and an option to display the sample that you've knitted up. If they're a local shop, they may well want to make a little feature of a local designer, just as something different. So that is always an option. Don't forget to schedule some posts for the future. So whether that's on Instagram, whether that's on Facebook, whether that's on your blog, just don't post about it once and then never go there again. Remind people that this pattern, this design exists. So you can share some images from testing, as long as you've got permission from the people who did the testing to use their images. You could use some alternate shots, alternate colorways, just wearing it in a different style. But just make sure that you are sharing and retweeting and reminding people that this pattern exists. It's not a one-hit wonder. You want to keep it in people's consciousness for as long as possible, so that they have opportunities to go back and buy it, or think about you, or recommend you to somebody else. If you use Twitter, you can tweet about it, again, more than once. Not in the same 5-minute window, but you can tweet about it multiple times over a week. Pinterest, make sure that you pin a link to the relevant boards in your Pinterest site, and also pin to groups that you belong to. And if you're a Yarn Academy student, then I've posted out the link for the Yarn Academy board, and anybody who's a member of that, you can share as many of your own patterns on that board as possible. TBT is a good excuse to mention an older pattern that needs some love. It's true, Karen. Yes, absolutely. I shall come to that in a minute. Facebook. We do have to mention Facebook because it is rather popular. There are a few billion people using it. So post on your page and mention the yarn or local yarn shop. Tag them if at all possible. Create your own designs album. So an album of your own work. And then add a picture, mention the yarn shop, the yarn supplier, and link to the pattern. Share in any groups. And make sure that you tag your own page when possible when you're sharing in groups on promo days. And it's really important. And I'm going to ask, and I'll see how many of you actually answer, whether on replay or whether in live. Did you set up a spreadsheet for your group information? So a spreadsheet listing off all the groups and what days you can do what activities within those groups. If you did, then this is a perfect time to go back to that spreadsheet and use it. And if not, this is the perfect time to remind you that you should be creating one of those spreadsheets, and then you can refer back to it. And if you belong to 58 million groups, then you know which group you can go into on what day to promote your pattern and schedule some posts to go into those groups. And that will make life much easier, far less frustrating, and you won't fall foul of any administrators or moderators. Love your shirt, by the way. Thank you so much. Yes, I do. I'm getting a lot of love for this shirt today, I have to say, in both in real life and online. So if you don't know which spreadsheet I'm talking about, we'll share the link in the group again, and then you can make sure that you're updating that group spreadsheet so that you've got that information at your fingertips or at your electronic fingertips, which makes sharing information about launches and products so much easier. It's much simpler for you. And I won't go into these in detail, but don't forget that you can also share on Google+, LinkedIn, Instagram, Collabora, Craft Foxes, Craftsy, Etsy, Patternfish, Love Knitting, Love Crochet, and free pattern directories if it is indeed a free pattern. As I say, I will put a lot more information around links for these things in a separate blog post, because this is a lot of information for people to be making notes about or trying to remember. And you might now have got to this point and you're thinking, I wish I'd been making some notes, because that's a lot of stuff that perhaps has just read out. So we shall see. Then, of course, you have your own email newsletter where you can offer a 24-hour discount code. Now, I've spoken in the past about discount codes, and personally, I only like them as a benefit or a bonus for your loyal newsletter subscribers. You can, of course, choose to offer whatever discounts you like whenever you like. But as part of an incentive for regular newsletter readers, if they know that this discount is only available for 24 hours once I launch, then they're more likely to take it up if they like the pattern. If they don't like the pattern, then they wouldn't buy it anyway, so it'll make no difference. But it can be very useful for loyal subscribers if you consistently release a pattern with a 24-hour code. It's a nice way to bump up those initial sales to help you along. If you are planning on running a crochet along or a knit along to promote your pattern within your own group, then that is cool. And remember that there is a Ravelry Cal Fanatics group, and again I'll put a link for that group, where you can share details of your crochet along and your cal. If you offer the pattern for sale on your own site, then that's the link you should be sharing around the world. I know that people like Ravelry, but in terms of you being able to manage and understand, looking at the stats, which of these techniques are working for you, so that you can then put more of your time and effort into that particular method, then you need the Google Analytics that you'll get by sending people to your local store on your website. If you don't have a website, send them to Ravelry. It's no big deal. But if you do have your own website and you do have the ability to sell your patterns through your website, for a start, that's one less fee that you're having to pay. And it's very, very simple and straightforward once you've got a store set up on your website, and then you can go back through and track to see where your visitors are coming from. Are they coming from Google Plus? Are they coming from LinkedIn? Are they coming from Instagram? Or are they coming from Twitter? Where are they being fed to you from? And then you can do more of that and drop off the stuff that's just not sending you anybody at all. You can think about running advertising. You can, of course, wear your makes. So if you have a beautiful shawl, wear it out and about. You'd be amazed at how many people actually ask you about the stuff that you are wearing. And you can also make sure that you're wearing your stuff if you're looking to negotiate or discuss with a yarn company at a yarn event. So at the Edinburgh Yarn Fest or any of the other big yarn events that go on around the world, wear some stuff that you've created, that you've designed, that you've knitted, and take that along with you, so that you've got something to talk to people about and they can actually see what you've created and how it looks in the real world. And then finally, get others to promote you, so that you're building off of other people's audiences. You've got different audiences, so different people will have access to you that you haven't necessarily seen before. And my door's just opened, which is rather remarkable, which means it's going to slam. There we go. So there are three main ways that you can do to. There are three main ways you can accomplish having other people promote you. There are lots of other ways, but these are the top three that I would suggest people start out with. Firstly, there are bloggers who review patterns. Send them a copy of your pattern, ask them to review it, and give them some graphics and a link back. Some people will do that for free. I do that for free on Fiery Phoenix, on the YouTube account, and on the Fiery Phoenix website. So if you have a pattern that you want reviewed, then I'm more than happy to do that for you. You could do a blog tour if you've got a larger collection, so you can go out and write guest blogs, you can do interviews, you could have some goodies to give away, you could take part in an Instagram round robin. There's all sorts of bits and pieces that you could do on a sort of a blog tour type approach. And you can also look at offering your pattern as a giveaway, as a prize for somebody else's cal or somebody else's event. It's just worth thinking about. Or you could run some sort of challenge, which then leads up to the launch of this pattern. So I ran a cable challenge and then offered a free pattern that I was launching, which was obviously a cable design, and then it went into the actual promotion of the pattern itself, which was a cable pattern after that little challenge ran through. So teach people how to use the technique, then give them a free pattern, then give them the full pattern option to purchase. If you've got a collection of patterns, they can have a discount as they've taken part in the challenge, etc., etc. That kind of thing can be very, very beneficial as well. But you need to have enough product to be able to then put bundles together, so it's not necessarily going to be great for your first one or two patterns. That's a lot of stuff. I know that's a lot of information because it's 4 pages of notes that I just read out to you. So let that sink in. Rewatch this video. Have a look at some of the links that Karen's been sharing with you for the Ravelry groups, for some of the Cal Fanatic groups, and some of the other bits and pieces. and hopefully you'll be able to pull that together in some meaningful way for you. Don't try and do everything all in one go. Just pick something and start doing that, then move on to the next thing, start doing that, move on to the next thing, start doing that. Incorporate them into how you promote your work and your patterns. That there is a whole variety of stuff out there in terms of ways that you can promote. It does not have to be just Facebook groups. So please don't think that if you loathe Facebook groups, then you're completely stuffed, because you're not. There are so many other ways that you can promote and present your work to the world. So hopefully that has given you some food for thought. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. I love that Tunica sent me a fish. Thank you. When I asked for any kind of graphic, I love that you sent me a fish. That is fabulous. Okay, so we have a rabbit has also been sent to me, which is wonderful. So we have the link through to the Yarn Academy podcast, so where to sell your wares, which will sort of be the flip side of what I've just been speaking about. And then, oh yes, Karen mentioned it's a good excuse to mention an older pattern that needs some love. So when you're talking about your new design, if you have something that you've previously worked on that is a similar technique or uses a similar stitch, or this could then be bundled with, then you can definitely talk about this other pattern or an older pattern as part of the promotion for the new pattern. So definitely be considering your older products, your older designs or colorways that you've still got lying around that you need to try and free up some space from. Then definitely that is excellent in terms of then reusing that opportunity to share older items. You look at any questions. If you have questions for me, use the hashtag Q4Babs, the letter Q, the number 4 and the word Babs, and I will get through and answer any of those that I spot. So until next week, I will say bye-bye. Oh, and please let me know if you think this event type formatting was a little bit easier for you, or if you sort of hid away the live stream and you weren't able to find it. So please let me know, and I will speak to you next week. Bye for now, guys.